You are spending thousands of dollars every year on a system that does not work. That's like saying you're spending thousands of dollars every year on car payments and car insurance on a car that does not run. This doesn't make any sense. Why spend so much money on something that doesn't do the basic thing that it was designed to do? Why spend so much money on a car that you can't even drive? This is America's prison system, a system that wrongfully mistreats its inmates and doesn't do the basic thing that it was designed to do. The criminal justice system was designed to punish and rehabilitate individuals so that they can re-enter society a better person. But this isn't happening. There are a lot of people that are going back to prison for same crimes or similar crimes as if they have not already learned their lesson their first time. Something needs to be done about these prisons. This needs to be a topic that more people discuss because it's right now it's on the back of people's mind and most people are not wanting to strive forward in this area because it's not a potent topic. The reason why the criminal justice system can do these things, though, is because we are not speaking up and we are allowing it to punish instead of rehabilitate. Now, in order for you to understand what I mean by punishment and rehabilitation, we have to first think about what the idea of prison was and what punishment was actually founded upon. In 1776, Pennsylvania needed a way to house people that were breaking laws. They mainly focused on hard labor and public humiliation, but as times progressed, people then wanted to start having some form of rehabilitation. However, back then, their form of rehabilitation was putting them in a room and giving them a Bible. This idea of punishment is best explained from a moral education standpoint that can better be explained by Jean Hampton in her article. She states that um, prisons is like an analogy with a dog in a fence. If you have a dog that is trying to escape the pasture, and if you have a shock collar around it, and every time it tries to leave the fence, it gets zapped, that infliction of pain will eventually teach the dog to stop going back to the fence. A human, on the other hand, will theorize about why there is a border there in the first place. This infliction of pain will cause other humans that are seeing it from the outside perspective to say, nah, I don't want to get zapped, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going stay in this little pasture over here and just, mind my business. However, this problem of having people keep coming back into the system is causing an overcrowding issue. In the picture to the left, we have a prison in California that had to turn its recreational facility for the inmates into a housing complex because they're running out of room for the inmates to stay. This is a similar situation in the right picture where it is in a prison in Alabama that had to similarly do the same thing. These conditions are inhumane and not even providing the basic sanitary conditions for them to be able to survive in that time. Then, after they're done serving their sentence, they go back and nothing happened to them while they were in prison. No one talked to them about their issue. No one helped them to become a better person. And then when they go back out there, they have a conviction charge that doesn't allow them to get good jobs and they eventually have to go back. This is a statistic by the Department of Justice that found that over 30 states in 2005, inmates were arrested at least once within 9 years after their release. This shows how the inmates progressively stopped going back, dialing back. However, they were still going back into prison. This issue also disproportionately affects minority people. Even though African Americans are part of the minority in this country. They make up the highest recidivism rate. They even make up the highest incarceration rate in the country. This is staggering because why are African Americans being disproportionately affected by the criminal justice system? This is still even a part of prison reform because then they are subject to be prisoners easier than someone else that is maybe Caucasian or Asian, and that could cause them to go back to prison for maybe even something that they honestly did not even do. We need to start focusing on ways to get them to stop going back. And the way to do this is to have rehabilitation methods. Amy Shepard, who is a social worker, can best describe a method that was able to rehabilitate, punish, and regulate that we could implement into the prison system. She proposed a way that first the prisoner needs to be open to want to change. They need to be able to want to work on their problems and become a better individual. There is this old saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that is essentially what the prisoner wants to do, wants to get better. We then have to give the prisoners a hook, something to take them away from crime, whether that's friends, family, a school, a job, a trade. We need more resources in these prisons so that they can have something to take their mind away from. Some prisons give prisoners the option to maybe get a college degree, pursue a trade, or even get their GED. The picture on the right is a prison that was able to give prisoners internet access so that they can possibly get their college degree. She did propose as a way we need to give prisoners a form of replacement, something to take their mind away from. And if we have that hook that they already have, they will want to replace their life of crime with that hook, whether it's education or whatever. And then after that, they have to want to make amends for their mistakes. They have to want to be better and say, okay, I see what was wrong with that. I'm not willing to do it again. Even though rehabilitation is a method that is kind of new and kind of foreign to the way of thinking about prison reform, we have to notice that there is something that is vaguely happening, but it's not being talked about enough. And since we are not talking about enough, that's why it's not moving as fast. This is an article or a picture that can best describe the system that is messed up. It states that, sorry, I have to get close. It states that it costs $3 million less to educate prisoners than to pay for their reincarceration. And in the last 4 decades, the number of people that have been reincarcerated has increased, causing taxpayers $39 billion. That's what a B, billion dollars in their money. However, this number could dial back if we provide them with the necessary resources in order to do better. The Justice Department has proposed methods in order to do better, but we need more backing behind it. They wanted to put a school district within prisons so that they can have a community and somewhat, learn from each other and work on getting their different trade or college degree. They want to prioritize mental health resources for those inmates that are suffering from mental health disorders so that they can become better and have the necessary resources to get better. They also want to lessen on private prisons because private prisons is basically the government giving prisoners to this company saying, hey, yeah, as long as feed them and house them, they're good. But these lax regulations are causing these private prisons to take advantage of these prisoners, and that money, that hard tax-paying money, is just essentially going into their pockets. Prison should be a form of second chance for people so that they know when they go in, they have a second chance of coming out and doing better. The reason why this is because this is coming out of our pockets. This is an average from the United States. Of course, depending on the state you live in, depends on how how the tax money is being allocated. But averagely across the states, 5% is being allocated towards prisons. 5%, this is not giving them enough to have the necessary resources in order to feel better and get better. However, some of the resources are just being pocketed by these big name people, which is why we need to take away from private prisons and use that funding into more public prisons so that they can have better resources. Prisoners are the forgotten people, essentially. They made mistakes and people just want to punish them and see them be punished, but they're still humans. And they deserve our help and they deserve to be treated as such humans. They're being held in these small places, sometimes being forced to work for nothing, which I thought slavery was outlawed, and they're being wrongfully mistreated. This overcrowding can cause rape issues, can cause people to not get the necessary medical attention that they need, and it's essentially kind of like we're killing them off. We need to start talking about prison reform more. We need to start pushing our elected officials to talk about this issue more and get this issue out there because prisoners are suffering and we need to do something about it. Thank you.